to post your best questions to Padlet for each level, and as a group, you are going to critique your classmates' questions to determine which questions are quality questions and which questions need revision. So our objective today, I can critique my classmates' DOK questions to determine their quality and if they need revision. What is our objective today? 3, 2, 1.
I can critique my classmates' DOK questions to determine their quality and if they need revision.
So, as you look over the questions your classmates post, you are going to ask yourself, which questions created by my classmates are quality questions? What are you going to ask yourself? 3, 2, 1.
Which questions created by my classmates are quality questions?
Eyes up here. Here's our criteria. This is not new. We've done this before. Here's our criteria for quality questions. You have 3 criteria that you are focusing on. The first criteria is that the question is open-ended. So you look at the question and you ask yourself, is there more than one way that my classmates can answer this? Is there more than one way my classmates can answer this? You don't want it to be a question that can be answered with a simple yes or no. You don't want it to be a question that has a right or wrong answer. So that's the first thing you're looking at. Can this question be answered in more than one way? Now, one of the requirements this time around was you already wrote a follow-up question to your question. So you want to make sure that not only do you assess the first question to see if it's open-ended, you assess the second question, the follow-up question as well, and make sure that has multiple answers. What's the first criteria for a good question? 3, 2, 1.
Open-ended.
Good. Second criteria, it's thought-provoking. All that means is that your classmates can either agree, disagree, or pose their own follow-up question. They can agree, disagree, or pose their own follow-up question for deeper discussion. You want to make sure you assess that with the original question as well as your classmates' follow-up question. What is our second criteria for a good question? In 3, 2, 1.
Thought-provoking.
What do you ask yourself? 3, 2, 1.
Can someone agree, disagree, or have a follow-up question to further the conversation?
Good. Last criteria is that it's clear. If you read the question and you have no idea what it's asking you, then you probably aren't going to be able to answer it. If you have no idea what it's even asking, there's no way you can come up with an answer. So you're going to ask yourself, would I need to ask Angelica? Would I need to ask Isaiah? Would I need to ask Destiny for clarification? Would I need to ask them what they even mean? Or do they just need a little bit more elaboration to make it effective? Should they have included a specific detail or a specific something to focus on? For example, compare juvenile facilities to adult facilities. Compare them how? Their size, their color, how many men work there, if the jumpsuits are orange or green. That would need elaboration. What do you want me to compare? Whether they offer rehabilitation or not, whether whether the guards treat the prisoners fairly and with respect. What would you like me to compare? Okay, so make sure it doesn't need elaboration. So what is our third criteria for a good question? In 3, 2, 1.
Do I need more clarification or elaboration in order to answer the question?
Good. So once we post our questions, we're going to assess them on that criteria, and you're going to pick out the ones that you're like, yes, you rocked it, you asked a good question, I like this question, we'll be able to discuss this based on those. You're also going to ask yourself, ooh, if this isn't a good question, what needs to be done to revise this question? So if you find someone whose question wasn't that great, you need to be able to tell them, hey, Nancy, I get what you're trying to ask me, it's clear, but it's not a good question because I can simply say yeah or no. Or Nancy, it wasn't that thought-provoking, you can't really agree or disagree with it. Okay, so you're going to tell your classmates what they need to do to revise. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to open your Chromebook, and I want you to look at your questions and say, what's my best level 3 question? What's the one that I think is just going to get everybody talking and fired up and discussing? What's my best one? And you're going to post it on Padlet. So your first and last name goes in the title. Make sure to capitalize appropriately. And then in the write something, put your question, and please bold the verb. Yes, you are going to need your follow-up question as well. Yes, you are going to need your follow-up question as well. First and last name in the red title, capitalize it appropriately. Type in your question with your follow-up question, bold your verb.
I think Aaron had a bad question because it, well, one, we don't have a claim for this topic right now, and this is also a question that we've answered on our Google form about articles, and it doesn't really state which two articles were affected or not.
So what does he need to do based on that criteria on the screen? What does he need to do specifically?
He needs to clarify, and he needs to prove a plot, because it can mean anything, like any two articles, because he doesn't really claim two.
Okay, thank you. 2 claps for Valentino. 1, 2.
I thought Isaiah's didn't have a really good one because it was mostly because I didn't find it very clear because the prison's name wasn't Juvenile Prisons, it was the name of the video we watched. If he fixed that, his question would be better.
Okay. 2 claps for Nick. 1, 2. One more.
Diego.
I thought Valentina's wasn't a good question because he said, draw conclusions, should juveniles be tried as adults? Why or why not? And I just think you can only answer it 2 ways, by saying, yes, they could be tried as adults, and no. And he just needs to make a new question.
So you think it needs to be more what?
Needs to be more, like, cause there's not that many ways to answer the question, and it needs to be more open.
Okay, thank you. 2 claps for Diego. 1, 2.